And welcome. Welcome to the workshop, The Art of Intention. This is the first one of 4. So thank you everybody for being present. I am just going to set us up. So I explained to everybody who's here in person that I will share with you the information so that we can record it also for those people who are linking in later on in the replay. So welcome to everybody. Welcome to all of you who are here in person. I have nobody else helping me today, so I will let people in as they arrive. So, and also, of course, very welcome to those who watch this in replay. So I will take you through the information, share with you my ideas, and then I will stop the recording for the interactive questioning and the interactive things, so that your faces and personal information aren't on the recording. For those who are in replay, please, please, please feel that you can engage with me and others. I will connect with you in different ways, in different forms. Of course, I'll be happy to have a one-to-one conversation with you, or sending you more feedback and more input. So from my experience with these online sessions, beautiful conversations have grown out of that between all sorts of people on different platforms. So please, when you in replay, don't feel like you're by yourself. I am with you. So for those, there's a lot of you actually, thank you, who do not know me yet very well or not at all. So I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Gita Nicola Schneider. I live currently in Quebec, Canada. And I have a long history of all sorts of communication with spirit. I was brought up in that environment. I worked in healing and body work for many, many years. In circle work, and I've been for many years now in shamanic practices. The shamanic practices I have chosen as a medium for us to come together, because I feel that they respond profoundly and in a really good way to the needs which we have in our times today. Many people have different practices or have experience of different form of practices, meditations, rituals. There are many different schools, some which come from ancient traditions, others which come more or are more, how can I say, which are more held in a more contemporary approach and vocabulary, and all of it is good. So for me, what is important is that whatever you hear, whatever I share, inspires you where you are with the practice you have, and you are able to really integrate that into your daily life in a simple way, that it enhances what you already know. So I am not someone who asks you to leave aside what you've learned before and then relearn something else. We need techniques and we need ways of life which are accessible, which are sustainable, and which nourish us in the context of our lives and the demands our life puts on you as an individual. And I feel shamanic journeying, shamanic basic techniques really offer that. So I will talk much about the pagan way, maybe, the seasons, the natural rhythms, which are obviously we are born into, we are part of. And I will give you the relationship to them. So in the hope that, as examples, that will inspire you. So theme today for us is intention. Setting intentions. I have designed this this workshop in 4 sessions, and I have left time between these sessions because, and you'll see, well, the way it is scheduled is like 4 sessions in 2 weeks, which I feel is a good way of creating momentum. Eventually, depending where you are and what your needs are, if you're doing this on replay, you can also spread that out and let that accompany your other practice, and then maybe listen to 1 video per week. Anyway, in any case, I'd really like to encourage you to bring it into what really works for you. I have chosen 2 weeks because when we want to create something new, when we want to establish something new, it takes momentum and it takes a moment to have our own practice. So this is what I want to offer you. We will talk through the subject, but this kind of subjects, they can be understood with the mind. But the transformation and the real effect comes when we practice it. So we need to apply it. And that's why I left time between the sessions so that you can get some kind of application going. At the same time, when we are together in this sacred circle, that there's an energy that I am super available for you to just send me a message, works, doesn't work, what shall I do? Or even when you come into the live in the question and answer section. So we will practice together. We will talk about what we need to do, what is the idea, and then we will apply it immediately. You can use this as a retreat. And so the reason I put this into the beginning of December, is that I feel within this time of the dark season, in this time where we are walking towards winter solstice, which is the shortest day, and where we are called on to go within, to sit in the silence, to listen, to be intuitive. And intuition, we come to that. Intuition is all about listening with the other senses. Now, nature is like that for us. Many people, well, anybody around here, we just had a snowstorm. So this beautiful soft blanket has covered nature and even more encourages us to go in. So we have this time of the year where we're coming within, and yet much of activity around us coming up to Christmas is extremely active, very busy. We're trying to get ready. We have parties. There's kids are preparing to come off school. We're preparing to host people in our houses, etc., etc. We need gifts. We need this. We want that. We want to spend time with people, but at the same time, nature asks us to go within. So there is this little fight going on. What we can give time to. So the idea also of these 4 days for the next two weeks is to give you an opportunity to just create a little bit of time to go consciously along that journey. So use it as a retreat. Use it as a preparation time to go towards the winter solstice consciously, intentionally, a presence. And when we do that, we have these moments for ourselves. We connect to who we are. We connect to what is important to us. We have the input from spirit and from our inner wisdom. And so we are nourished like that within. And so when we then turn up for our family and for our community and in our daily lives, we can be also more present and more balanced. So there we go. Whatever works for you, information, practice, retreat, take your time, make it work for you, whatever works, observe. So the one thing I ask for you, of you, in order to have the best benefit from what you're hearing today, is to make an inner commitment to yourself to engage with the subject, to engage with what you hear, to be willing to listen, and to be willing to try it out. So to give yourself that moment to say, okay, I'm going to create some time in order to take the practice. And it is really very little time necessary. And I will tell you that at the end of today's session, how I see these couple of days, these 2 weeks, to be the most fruitful for you. So let us dive into the subject, intention. Now, what do we talk about when we're talking about intention? I'll start with a little anecdote. When I was creating, and it's many years ago now, I created these. I call them the ritual boxes. I personally walk with the seasons and the rituals which come with that, the wisdom which comes there. I use the natural celebrations of solstice and equinox and the times in between as these transition times, which encourage to take stock, to reevaluate, to look what is present, and to see how that can nourish and inspire and keep my practice awake. So I created these ritual boxes. Now we'll send you some pictures when we come to do some activity to just, hopefully that's an inspiration what you can create for yourself. So when I was speaking to the person who was making the design, I was talking about intention, because in all of my ritual boxes, there are little cards, which are anyway, I'll show them to you, tiny little pieces of paper. And I explained to him, these are for the daily intention. He looked at me with big eyes. He was more a marketing guy and a design guy. And so when I finished explaining to him about what I was hoping to bring, to offer people as a practice, he said, wow. And I said, well, it's just one form. I mean, everybody has intentions. And he looked at me with big eyes and he said, I don't know anybody who gets up in the morning and has a clear intention about their day. And I was really surprised, because I had been living in active spiritual practice communities for pretty much all my life. So this question of intention is one which is the first question when we come to communication, when we come to ritual, when we come, in fact, anything we start in life. That would be the question. So I'm going to make this very experiential for you. Just take a moment. Take a moment and breathe. Don't think of anything. Just get a little space going. Shake yourself. Breathe. And then think, what's your intention in life? Big question. What's your intention for the day? What's your intention for coming here? What's your intention for listening to me today? For signing up, to saying, yes, I'm interested? What is your motivation? Why are we doing this? And I come to realize when I was thinking, when I was creating this workshop, but also in my observation for my journey circles, for all the circles I hold, the first question is like, what is your intention? We start the circle like that. What's your intention? And often people go like, oh, actually, I'm not quite sure. I know I want to come. I know I want to sit. I know I need to. Maybe I need to. My intention is to find out what my intention is. Do you get the idea? So the next question is like, why? Why are we doing what we're doing? And here I want to this is the introduction session. I want to take the time a little and just sort of inspire some conversation, some reflection, and some contemplation for you. And it is really important, I feel, it is the time. First of all, if you listen to this somewhere near to when I'm doing this live, we are here now in the winter season, which is in the year, the wheel of the year, the medicine wheel, the wisdom of the season. We are in the northern direction, so we're in the winter time. And the winter time is about remembering who we are. It's about coming in, being silent, and sort of composting what we have nourished ourselves, what we have created in the last year. So we're coming down from the year, we're coming to stillness in order to go back up into the new cycle. And the teaching is really beautiful, and there's a lot to be said. And I'm going to prop some in of that teaching in the next in these 4 days. But for today, let us I want to give you the perspective from which I come with this intention. So we are living in a world more and more, there's more and more demand on our life from just being engaged with so many things. Just the fact that we can go online and have access to absolutely everything, that we get all sorts of little notices from all of our devices. And that's on top of what we've always had. And I sometimes feel I'm from this age, I remember when we didn't do that. When the demand we had was the phone on the wall, which would ring. That was the sort of disturbant noise, and maybe the television. And the television that would be only available, the channels between 12 and 6, 12 to 12, actually, or 2 to 12. When I grew up, so just to say, obviously our life has exploded in the way the demand is there. And from outside also, the demand of what we are asked to participate, what we are invited to participate, the expectation which is put on us of like what one should be doing, what one could be doing, and so on, is like enormous. So this question to know who we are, in order to choose, to remember who we are, to choose what values we want to be aligned with, what life mission we are aligned with. And that's a big word, I know, but this is what, when we look at it from a shamanic point of view, all of our interaction, all of our choices, all of our yes and no's and maybes should be coming from a position of being centered and aligned to the reason why we're here. And each person carries a particular gift. Yes, you are unique. You are not more unique than anybody else, but you are unique. And so we are in this beautiful symphony. We're all playing an instrument, and each one of us plays a particular melody. And this melody is what we will share with the world. And if we share it well, if we play it well, and everybody plays together well, because they have practiced their own melody, then it makes a beautiful symphony. If we, however, constantly question, is that the right instrument? Should I be playing that? And the other person looks so cool when they play theirs, and maybe I'll try that. And maybe I like it better to play someone else's instrument. And then we turn up to this symphony with our instrument. If we're lucky, we have one to play on. And if we even luckier, we practice a little. But yeah, when we make a mistake or when we do not turn up with the right instrument, the whole other symphony has to sort of compensate. And of course, our music, which we share then, is we do our best, but it could be better. So the whole idea of this way of engaging in the world around us is to remember who we are, what gift it is that we carry personally. And when we get to be centered in that and aligned to that and cultivate a communication with our inner wisdom, and therefore hold a knowing of what we have to share, we can be present. And when we are present, we can share it. And when we share it, then, the whole circle, the whole universe, the whole beautiful symphony benefits from. And so in the beginning, when we do this, we concentrate a lot on ourselves, because we want to know who we are. We want to remember who we are. We want to motivate ourselves in a way that we are confident and that we create sovereignty in our choices. And for that, having an intention and being clear about intention is absolutely necessary. So when we look at this big picture, for me, the big picture is really to participate in this humanity, into this symphony in the best way possible. And the way I do that is to be centered, to continuously reevaluate and align myself to my values. And it's fluid, obviously we all grow with experience, and we hopefully become a better expression of that who we are and what we bring. Every cycle we learn, and every new cycle we bring what we learned in an integrated way to this process. So that's the big picture. How do we do that, though? To have a clear vision of the big picture is difficult if we cannot get up in the morning and are not aligned and are just lost. So having a clear intention and working with these structures and bringing them in and really learning, trying to explore what resonates with us, how we are well, and how we can share in a good way without making all of these compromises. That really is, for me, the intention for this intention workshop, in the hope that really you will see the structure and you will be able to apply it to you, to then also bring your flower forward and allow your flower to open and share it in this in this way. So when we look at that, our next question is, so when we're the bigger picture, maybe we have no idea. Yeah, we all want to be balanced. Yeah, we all want to be happy. We all want to be healthy, all of these kind of things. And we all want to participate in a good way to humanity. And that is never been more important than today, I feel. So in order not to feel overwhelmed of like, how do I do that? If I look around in the world with me, I feel like, what can I do? Okay. So to really, the first thing we can do is like to know who we are and then make our choices based on that. To have enough focus and clear intention that we can say, I see what is offered here, but I don't need to engage. Just because it's possible doesn't mean that I have to say yes to it. We've had that discussion with, these new ways of development which is available to us with different technologies. And it's like, just because we can doesn't mean we have to. So it goes into that concept, and in order for us individually to have the awareness, the understanding, the confidence, and the courage to make our informed choices, we need to know, we need to practice intention on a daily basis. On a daily basis. Don't worry, it's not a new technique. It's something which slips into your daily, but it can be done in your car while you're driving your kids to school. It can be done in any possible way. It can be done on your phone, in your meditation, without your phone, in your forest, in your city, wherever. So that's the good news. So let me just make this one more time really clear. So it is about sovereignty. It's about knowing who we are and then being able to engage in a good way and actually making a choice. And when we talk about this, and this is also what the shamanic lens encourages us to do in this way of living in alignment with nature, with the cycles of nature, with the cycle of the sun. We are part of nature. We are born into these cycles. And we have managed with our modern lives, with our contemporary lives, to divorce ourselves pretty much from these cycles. However, most people, many of us, we go to sleep at night and we are active in the day. Now that is already no longer true for everybody. Just to give you an idea how far we have divorced ourselves, we are able to do the exact opposite. We are here definitely in Quebec. We are definitely living with the seasons because we don't have a choice. We have long winters, we have a lot of winter, and we have cold temperatures. We have to accommodate for that. And then when we get into the other seasons, of course, same thing. We really have beautiful seasons here. So the lifestyle is absolutely affected by that. But we see in our contemporary life that we have now come to a way that we are sort of trying to do the same thing all year round, which is a huge pressure on us because obviously when we come to winter, there is so much more effort needed in order to just get the kids to school in a way warm, in a way that they don't freeze their feet off, or etc. So we have adapted our lives in a way that we can sort of like do whatever we want, only we cannot. And we have come across that, of course, nature teaches us that on a daily basis. So these cycles of nature, why is it so important? Why do I take that long time in an introduction to bring that home? Because as we are part of nature, we are in reflection of. So whatever is within manifests without. We are what we see around us. And so when we are disconnected from nature, when we live our lives, when we get up in the morning and we get in our day without reading the sun, when we do not know from any moment to the other where the moon is in the sky, then we are disconnected from the source. And if you are disconnected from the source, if you're disconnected from nature, you're disconnected from yourself, from your inner rhythms, and how we live in these rhythms. When you are disconnected from nature, you are disconnected from yourself. When you are disconnected from yourself, you are disconnected from your children, from your relationships, from your community. And how do we live? We don't choose then. We are swept away by movements of what is expected, what we think is expected. We do the work the way we are told we have to do it. We have long days. We have to deal with almost two people, sometimes just one. We take care of everything. Our days are absolutely loaded. The compromises are made on all levels because we are disconnected like that. And we end up overwhelmed. And we do not have enough time to just go like, whoa, what do I choose? And when we come to the moments when we ask to choose, the really important times when we are asked to choose, when it goes wrong in our lives, or when we really are faced with disharmony and challenge, and we are then asked to make choices, then we do no longer know how to do them because we have lost contact with ourselves, and then we don't know from where to take that choice. We make a choice, but it very often doesn't come from who we are. We then need to take time out, find out who we are, to then come back and adjust. So the whole idea of this is that we create moments, ritual, times of connection in which we sit and we listen and we cultivate a practice of knowing who we are. We cultivate a practice of working with the cycles, of working with our personality, of working with our gift, so that when we are asked to engage, we engage from that point of knowing, and we are able to say yes on the basis of our values, and also no on the basis of our values. And just because the person next to it does it, doesn't mean we also have to do it. That we know which instrument is ours and which melody we want to play. So that if you have someone next to you with a different instrument and a different melody, you don't think you have to do the same. Because you know that your melody is asked for, not someone else's. Well, that's also asked for, but they can do it by themselves. So that is the background and the foundation for this practice of intention. Having a clear intention is a step-by-step journey to that inner knowing, to that connectiveness to the cycles, the connectiveness to yourself, and therefore the connectiveness to your values, in order to come to your sovereignty, so that when you make your choices and your engagement, they come from a point of sovereignty. As I said, this can be learned. Maybe you say, oh yeah, I get what she means, but how do we do that? So it's a daily thing. It's a daily thing of trial and error, if you want. And the more you error, the more you try, the less you error, and the more the momentum of clarity is being born and infused into what it is that we do. So a sense of purpose comes from being in touch with yourself. And the idea is that we choose clearly, and we are not just swept away. I have this analogy, and please forgive me for all of you who have listened to me many times. I'm going to use it again, you know it already. Of this wave, we get asked to ride the wave of our life. And you know this about, I'll make this short, you know this about wave riding. You can come, you need to know at which point to get onto your board. And then when you're on the board, you need to play it, but woohoo, you can then glide nicely to the beach and look all wonderful, have a great time, be swept away and carried by that wave, but you are still in charge. Okay, and that comes from your confidence, your knowing, your decision making, and your courage to stay on the board balanced. When we don't do that, when we don't know how to get on the board and which part of the wave to ride or when to get on, if we do know that, but we get on and then we go like, oh no, I'm not sure what the other's doing, and then we lose our balance, we fall, and we get tumbled about. And as we get tumbled about, we don't know where it's up, where it's down, where it's right, whatever. We are just trying to hold our breath until we come back on air. And we get spat out onto the beach. We get to the beach probably, but we have no choice where we're going to be spat out. And when we get there, we don't know where it's up and down. And definitely while we're doing it, while we get tumbled around, we have absolutely no influence. And so this is the difference between choosing because you are connected to yourself and being swept away by emotions, by previous belief systems, by the opinions of others, by the demand from outside, and just running after or with the demand of our contemporary life. So when we are clear of intention, when we're placing regular intentions, there are a couple of dynamics to follow in order to really be successful. So placing intention, we know, of course, mostly and everybody knows about resolution for New Year. Okay, this is our big, and we're coming up to that. Now, regardless if you do New Year resolution or not, we're coming to winter solstice. And winter solstice is that moment where we get reborn, our light, our mission, our understanding, where the light grows again towards summer solstice. So it is that cycle of new creation, of bringing forward what we want to create, what we want to manifest. We will come into the season where we plant and then get to grow that intention, that manifestation, bring to manifestation what we want. So we're in the right time of the year. Now, when you think about New Year's resolution and these intentions which we have, which are sincere, which we are really into, which we are super motivated for, and then what happens? You know, we come to the New Year's change. We have all the good intentions. We do it for 3 weeks. We do it for 4 weeks. And then somewhere around February, March, you know, the momentum isn't quite as strong. Often in March, April, some of us don't even remember our intention. We had good intention, but I used to live in a gym, and not live in a gym, work in a gym. And they used to, obviously the sales, you know, the biggest sales were December, January. Everybody had good intention. And then by March, April, a large amount of these people never were seen again, although they had their membership. Okay. We've all seen this in ourselves. So when we place an intention, more than a resolution, we need to look at, first of all, we need to think, why is that? We need to really come to town and be realistic about that. And then be very intentional, be very clear about why we're doing it and what the outcome is, what we are hoping from. And then we need to look at what of that is realistic. So what I will encourage you to do, now I talked about all of these big life vision, the life intention, the bigger intention, vision of our life, being present, the rhythms of nature, the connecting to yourself. And then, you know, overwhelm comes in. Where do I start? So we're going to take it down and step by step, setting up small ways of practicing intention, integrating a rhythm, a structure into our day, which is regular, which is sustainable in order to allow ourselves to grow into this practice. When we are placing intention, we are inviting transformation, manifestation, but transformation to our lives. So I'll invite you, whatever, comes up as we speak for the rest of this hour and into tomorrow, to just allow yourself to brainstorm. As I was talking about this, what are your visions? What is your intention? What did you always wanted to do? And actually, maybe you've tried it a couple of times and you didn't get to do it. For some reason, it fizzled out, or you felt that you didn't get the result. And so you were discouraged. That is a number one obstacle to manifesting what we want to create, or our intention. And so just write it down. So just brainstorm, piece of paper, brainstorm on that. Write it all down so you can make sense of it by the end of these 4 sessions. So today I'm going to talk about basic structure, so that right away tomorrow you can begin. We can begin. I'm going to do the same thing because I really, with everything going on, all the circles I'm holding, all the celebrations for the solstice, I really want to also drop into my personal clarity, so that when I come to that moment of igniting the new light for the new cycle, I'm really clear. So, but write it down, brainstorm. Today, we're going to talk about the structure so that you can start. Write tomorrow, today even, and into your daily routine. On Friday, on the second day of this, the second day of these talks, I will talk more in detail about the structure and accountability. How can we support ourselves in order to have success? And in order to make this really a practice which comes from within and is an expression of the path and the life we want to create. And then on next week, for the 3rd session, we will look at detail of how we can adjust. This intention setting isn't something we just do and then magically it appears. It is something which it's a way of life, and therefore it has to be adaptable, changeable, adjustable in the demands of our lives. It has to be adjustable to the times of life when there is different demand, where there is different realities, where we change our mind on something, we develop, we grow, and we go with it. So how do we maintain this practice in a way that it nourishes all of our life all the time, and it continues to support us in that journey? And then on the 4th, the last one, I will speak to how to grow it on a daily basis. We will recap on some things. I will answer some of the questions which have come in. And we will talk a little bit more about what you can set up for yourself and how you can integrate it into your daily routine, and how this practicing daily intention can really bring transformation and clarity to your daily life, but also to the bigger aspects of you. So, right, let's go, and we will talk about some of the points I am going to list with you today, again, in the others more in detail, but for now, to start. So intention, first of all, requires reflection, and we've done that. Well, I hope some of the things I've shared with you in that last 40 minutes inspire some reflection. So the first thing you need to know is the why. Why are we setting intentions? Why is it important to us? And what is the emotion, the emotional experience which that work is bringing to us? So in order to create this, to know what it is that we want to achieve, that why question, just think of children, when you say this is like that or this is like that, and they go, why? 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 And even when I have personal one-to-one teachings with people or sessions, healing sessions, it's like, why would you want to do that? What is it that you want to create? So whatever it is that you are thinking of, there should always be the question, why? What is my intention in that? Because that will very profoundly alter the path you will take. It will also help you to decide if you have chosen it or if you following someone else's idea. So the next step is a structure which I'd like you to set up in order to support your journey of your intentions, the path you take with your intentions. So first of all, I'd like you to create a sacred space if you don't have one already. For those who know me, I'm all about sacred space and altars. Point of focus, a space which draws your attention towards and which you can put energy into in order for your practice. Now, I'm personally all for having, beautiful, nice tools standing around my house. And there are many of those. I will send you pictures in the follow-up emails also to give you some ideas, but you can go onto my website and look at altar spaces. There are really some very simple ideas. Now, what I like to do for intention is simply create a little dish, a little place with a flower, a little, when you draw tarot cards and you have a stand of where you put the tarot card as inspiration. You can also, and I know this for people who are like super busy, I have a friend, she has created a little space at home, and it's just a little, I don't have it here, it's just a little bowl. It could be a little bowl like this. Is it visible? Yes. A little bowl like that, and she makes her own intention cards, and that's something which I encourage you. Just a piece of paper, you cut them up into little pieces of paper, and she makes a little intention card. She writes her intention on that, and she places it into that bowl. She takes a picture with her phone, and she looks at it. She makes it, that does a screensaver of her intention for the day. She did that at the beginning. Now it's different because she has much more awareness. But how can we be swept up sometimes by our days and then forget, our intention for the day? So just to give you, that is one idea. So create a little sacred space somewhere, a bowl, a dish, a flower, and in your window, your kitchen, your fridge, your kitchen fridge. Whatever it is, where you can write down, mark on your intention for the day, and maybe even for the week, but I'll give you some more ideas for that. Be creative. Whatever, if you're someone who works and lives through your phone, take a picture. No problem. If you're someone who draws, draw. If you are someone who is inspired by flowers, include them, allow yourself to do whatever it is that really comes naturally to you. I will share ideas with you for those who feel like, oh, I don't really know what to do, which is often the first impulse. But what is important for me really is that it is something which is natural to you. So be creative, have fun with it. Let your character shine through it as you make it yourself. I encourage you to have a notebook. I have little notebooks in my seasonal boxes for the season, together with intention cards. It's one of the foundation practices in order to be present with the rituals and the season on a daily basis. So have a little notebook. Doesn't need to be a big journal. I like to have these very small ones, which almost fit into my purse, in order to just really write them down on an ongoing basis and be able to look at them again, so that all the ideas which come down or the reflection I have in the day, they can go on there. And then create some of these intention cards. Create just little pieces of paper, I encourage, in order to write your intention of the day and then place it into your sacred space. And then what I do is I collect them, and on the days where it's very fast or I'm very tired or I cannot think of an intention for the day, I go back to that pile of intention cards, I draw one and I go, oh yes, kindness. Let me practice kindness today. Beautiful intention. Okay. So the next thing you really need to do is take time to reflect and write. So taking time, allowing ourselves, carving out a moment where we are present for that, or listening to what we need, listening what wants to come up. And that is something which is also essential. And it doesn't have to be huge. It doesn't mean that you have to meditate half an hour or an hour and then do yoga and I don't know what else. These are all good things and I encourage you to do them, but it has to be sustainable. So whatever it is that you do in the day, there should be a moment where you connect to yourself. And right now, this is why I made this, and I talk about the retreat or something. Do it daily. Give yourself that opportunity to say, it is winter, I want to connect. I want to connect to who I am so that I can bring the best of me forward and really share what I am about, and not just run after expectations, so that I am nourished, that I am connected, and that I can connect to my community and my relationships and my family. So I'd say 10 minutes. Is that too much to ask? 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Anything up to 15 minutes. It's not a lot. When you think how much time you sort of like go through your phone, whatever it is that you get into when we scan messages and feeds and whatever else this is called, think of the times we spend with other things because we are not focused or we not intentional, and just allow yourself that time. If you might have to go, I know mothers do that, we go into the bathroom and just sit there, that's okay. In the car, when we wait, when we pick up people, when we are, but ideally, give yourself a little moment in the morning. I like mornings. Evenings, I get too tired. But if you're good in the evenings, I know many people who are really, really good in the evenings, then do it there. Give yourself 10 minutes. And think of artists. Artists do not create their best work because they get up in the morning and say, okay, I'm going to in the studio and I'm going to do art. No, it comes from a moment of being available for inspiration to come. And in the same way, our inner inspiration comes when we are available. And this availability is not something we can schedule between coming back from work and making dinner before the kids come home from school sort of scenario. But it is really one where there is a stillness. So allow yourself to just listen to some music, play the drum, I will also share with you a small meditation of connecting to the earth and connecting to the sky and the elements and being present in your heart. And it's not long. And once you've done it a couple of times, you can even do it by yourself without actually listening to my voice. And you just do that as a visualization. And then you think, what is my intention for the day? Or for any part of your life. And I'll talk about this in the next session. You know, how can we craft that? So craft out some time. Make a sacred space somewhere, a small little place where you place your intention card, where you mark what it is that you are practicing, that you want to pay attention to. What is your intention? Think of like, why, what is it that I want to create? Make it doable. So when you think of your intention, I want to be nicer. I want to be kind. I, want to have a better diet. I want start with these little things, okay? And then think, what is the one realistic step I can take today in order to do that? One step. And don't think you're going to change the world tomorrow and change into Mother Teresa, but just think of one thing which is doable, which is realistic, in order to not put yourself unrealistic expectations. I know someone who was with me on a retreat, and then they said, I'm going to do this at home every day. And I'm like, probably not. You came to a retreat because you needed the support, you needed to be away from home. So think of it that you want to do something small every day. You're not going to do an hour meditation every day. Just think that you will sit for 5 minutes or 10 minutes every day. That would be more realistic. And then you grow it. And we come to that in the other talks. Exactly how you make it sustainable. So make it fun. Make this intention to be something which really inspires you and carries you. And then we will talk about, and then have a structure of accountability. The structure of accountability is something which we we have to be able to realistically see what we did, because our mind likes to make stories. We're either super good or we're super bad, okay? And we go like, oh, I did this, I didn't do that. And the super bad is the same, where we think, oh no, I didn't do this and I didn't do well enough. But when we actually look at what we did, it's like, yes, you did really, really well. Because we have these big expectations and we measure ourselves to that, and then it's never good enough. But to having been able to sit every day for 15 minutes, listen to your inner voice, place an intention, appreciate the beauty of nature, and then do your day on an everyday, to be basically aware like that and awake like that is really good. So accountability, how do we do that? I will give you accountability is done by writing down what I did and when I did it. Sort of like, yes, I did it. Just say, okay, every day 5 minutes. I want it in an intention. And so we do this in our journal, daily journal. And I have prepared one for you. I will send it to you tomorrow for your first day, together with ideas how to do your ritual, or ideas how you could do your ritual, how you could make a little ritual place. And then you can use that. And these journals of gratitude, journals of intention, and I kept it really basic for intention, just to see how it goes. It's an essential feedback of where we are, what works, and then when we come to adjustability, to see how can we adjust in order to have success. And I was introduced to that in a really deep way, and it was called spiritual diary in the practice of yoga. And there is no success without these structures of observation, what the reality of how we move and how we are able to implement something is done. And we speak about this in detail, but yes, so write it down. Write down your intention. Write down what you want to do, what time you're going to take, how much time you think you want to take and you can take, in order to do a daily practice of intention. And so when you sit, you can, if you already have a practice, you just do some breathing, or you do some meditation, some visualization, you play the drum, play your music, whatever it is, listen to some music, whatever it is that you do. If you don't have anything, you do what I sent you. And then be clear about one intention you have, you want to practice. It can be something about your diet. It can be something about, how you want to communicate. It can be an awareness piece with nature, an interaction piece, a communication piece, a rest piece. Write it down what it is, and then we practice every day until we see each other again, which today is in 3. You have 2 days of practice and setting this up until we see each other again. Wonderful. So those who are here, please stay for a moment, and we have question and answer come up. And for those who are on replay, please write to me, replay, #replay, or something like that. You can just answer back to the emails you get from me because you signed up, and then let me know what works for you. Let me know your ideas, your thoughts of it, your questions, absolutely, your stories of how this inspires you, or your experience of what you already had, but also whatever doesn't work for you, so that I can be present for you in order to help you along with that. But I'd really love to hear also about all of the things which work really well. Just checking on my notes if there's anything which I have forgotten. No, I think we're good, because we're also out of time. Don't want to keep you longer than necessary. So wonderful. Thank you very much for being present. I do not take this lightly. I know the demand on our time. Thank you for taking the time today to sit with me in this conversation. So I wish you a lot of fun with setting up your little sacred space. And I'm looking forward to see you all again on the next second session. For those who are live with me in this session, it'll be on Friday. Have a wonderful day.